my name is Naz. I'm a third-year student, double majoring in cinema and Italian studies and minoring in Italian communication and culture.
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm a fourth year student double majoring in criminology and peace, conflict, and justice studies and minoring in political science. And we now like to welcome and thank Professor Owusu Bempah for joining us today.
So my name's Professor Akwasi Owusu Bempah. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Sociology at the University of Toronto, and I'm also cross-appointed to the Center of Criminology. I'm a criminologist by training. All of my degrees are in criminology, and most of my work focuses squarely on examining the criminal justice system, its operation, and importantly, how various forms of inequity lead to differential criminal justice outcomes. I do a lot of work in the area of policing, both academically, theoretically, and practically working with police and other justice agencies. As I've said, I've done a lot of work recently around drug policy, given its shift. And then, of course, given that criminology and crime and justice issues are influenced by what happens in other areas of our society, examine other social institutions too. My research is certainly not limited to Canada. I was born in the United Kingdom. I worked in the United States, and this real international focus is something that I find fascinating and influences my work.
So, what course do you plan to teach next summer?
So I'm teaching topics in criminology and socio-legal studies, and it's crime, migration, and social control.
And what are you most excited about for teaching in tours this summer?
Well, being in Tours is going to be a highlight, of course. Who wouldn't want to teach or take a class in France? The location itself, Tours is a beautiful city and so conveniently located, not far from the coast, not far from Paris. It's in Europe, and so seemingly everything's close. So being in France and being in Tours in particular is a highlight for me. The course subject matter is one that is really foundational to the discipline of criminology. It's a topic that has been studied really since criminology was founded as its own discipline, but one which has an immense amount of current relevance as well. And so being able to be in a country that has very much had to face some of these challenges, because France is one country that has for a very long time had to address issues of migration and attempt to institute different mechanisms of social control. And it's not only a destination country, but also a country through which people travel, for example, to the United Kingdom. So being in France, surrounded by a rich history as well as very much ongoing phenomena, as well as being close to other countries that are experiencing the same challenges, is going to be just wonderful.
Awesome. And what were some key takeaways from teaching in Siena last year?
Siena was a lot of fun. Key takeaways, the experience. Siena was my first time teaching in the study abroad program, and I have colleague Scott Wortley, who's long taught in Siena, and he, told me a lot about the program, and I'd, been working with him while he'd been there. I don't think you can fully come to appreciate what it really means to study abroad until you've done it. It's not simply like taking a course at university. It's a much greater, both kind of academic or professional, as well as personal experience. And so, being in Siena, which is another, quite unique, very unique city, and learning it and studying at the University of Siena was really magical. And Tours will be the same thing.
So, kind of building off of that, how does the shift to France and the new focus on migration and social change kind of change your approach to this course?
Yeah, well, so that's a good question. And the course that I taught in Siena was international topics in criminology, and migration, again, given its history, like the movement of people and the transnational nature of crime in particular, was one that was central to the course in Siena. So there were a lot of kind of similar themes, undoubtedly. In terms of the shift from Siena to Tours, I think that a big focus is going to be really kind of on the movement of people, how the experiences of those people and those groups, the responses of government and non-governmental organizations to that movement, and really how we think about that in a global context.
How does teaching abroad differ from teaching in a traditional U of T classroom?
So that's a good question. The broader experience and the amount of time spent with students, and the amount of time that the students get to spend with the professors, certainly in terms of, even the classes, because we've got longer classes, three hours each day or thereabouts. And but in some ways, having class each day or 4 days out of the week is nice because you don't have such a gap between classes and what you've learned. You can really kind of continue on and pick up from what you've taught the day before.
So our last question for you today is, what advice do you have for students taking or thinking about taking your course, especially on navigating cultural differences?
That's a very good question. So, just on the first part, like the thinking of taking a course, if you're able to do so, I would strongly recommend it. The university is really encouraging students to get some kind of experience abroad during their studies, whether that be on a shorter or a kind of longer period, a year exchange or a month away or even a few days. I think it really enriches the undergraduate experience. And I got a lot of good feedback from my students from last year on that very point. So if it is a possibility, I would say strongly consider, and if you can do it, do so. Really great. In terms of the cultural aspects, yeah, we need to recognize that there are cultural differences around the world, across the globe, and even within different regions of a given country. And so, a consideration like that, of course, different countries have different rules and laws around a host of different social behaviors. So just being aware of those and recognizing that things are different in different countries. France is a Western European country, quite similar in many ways to Canada, but also undoubtedly different. And it's that difference that really enriches, again, the experience of being abroad and studying within a different local context. And I think that's, a key part of this experience is.
Thank you so much for answering our questions and joining us today. This will be really helpful for those planning on joining your course this upcoming year.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I look forward to seeing folks on the other side of the Atlantic come June. Again, I'm really excited about this course. Been getting prepared for it now, and I look forward to building it out further. We're lining up all of the field trips and excursions that we will go on. And again, it's just so conveniently located. It'll allow us to visit, kind of historical and contemporary sites. And for those that are interested in trips on weekends, we've got 3-day weekends, and in Europe, everything's a train ride away, whether it be a short or a longer train ride away. So I look forward to seeing people on the other side of the Atlantic come June.